Welcome back to JRTV for the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series season, and we're here under the lights Saturday night racing at the Lowe Motor Speedway for the running of the UAW-GM Quality 500, one of the crazier races, and it's just 5 races remaining in the championship where we see Tim Gary extend his points lead after the last race at Talladega, but a new challenger from Luke Rainey, winner at Talladega, looking to cement himself as a championship contender, starting in second place here today, while the other 2 championship rivals start outside the top 10 and on the outside lane. It's going to be a fun race tonight here at Lowe's. High tire wear, long race. We'll see how that all plays into this 67-lap event here tonight in Concord, North Carolina. I'm Joe Rutkowski, alongside me in the booth, Trey Bardo. Trey, it's great to be back at Lowe's, one of the crazier racetracks we come to, but earlier this season, it wasn't really all that chaotic. We saw a very clean race, a lot of green flag running, different pit strategies, and it really came down to the tire wear more so than the chaotic factor that we have seen the past few seasons.
Yeah, it was a very unlike Lowe's that we've been to in the past, right? It almost kind of caught us off guard, if we're being honest. I think it might have caught these drivers off guard too, because they were coming into this thinking it was going to be caution after caution after caution, but in reality, it went down to who was the best at saving their stuff underneath the car, right? So the question tonight's going to be: is it going to be the same thing as last time, or is it going to be more of the original, more of the normal Lowe's Motor Speedway that we're used to seeing?
Yeah, we'll have to see about that because it's late in the season, as mentioned. Just 5 races left in the championship, so those championship contenders could get a little bit desperate in some of the moves they make. However, something that's uncharacteristic in terms of being this late in the season is the starting grid, right? I mean, at the front of the field, you don't really have all that many of the championship front runners. You have Luke Rainey starting in second, he's second in points, but then you have Drew Webb, the rookie, on pole, Roberto Crown Jr. in the 43 in third, Hunter Reed in fifth, Mitchell Collins is in 7th. I mean, you have all these guys, Jacob Miller in 9th, Justin Seidel in 10th. These guys haven't had all that great of seasons, but they're up there while, Luke Rainey is starting second, but Matt Wells, third in points, is back in 14th. Tim Gary, the points there, starts back in 18th. So the 2 of the top 3 in the championship, not that great of starts. Luke Rainey, a pretty decent start, but he's also on the outside trim. We know the outside here at Lowe's, not all that great. So if you're Matt Wells, Tim Gary, after qualifying, you were thinking you were starting 15th and 19th, both on the inside. Luke Rainey was going to be on the outside. But then Chris Jericho from 6th failed inspection, so it put Wells and Tim Gary up a spot. Now they're on the outside, so they gain a spot, Trey, but potentially on the start, they're going to lose more spots than what they would have had just from that one spot they got from inspection.
Yeah, it's going to be a unique scenario for those guys. I think, if they can't find a way to the inside line very quickly here at the start, they might just want to back off a little bit and kind of start to save tires because, per se, it does come to that long run situation again. If they can save the tires, they'll be at the top of the line right now whenever it comes to the longer runs. But we'll have to see how they manage to start.
We'll have to see, and we'll have to see how these guys at the front that maybe, they aren't riding for the championship, they're here looking for their first wins of the season or just, something to go their way this season. I mean, look at Hendrick Motorsports. They have Drew Webb starting on pole, Lathan Strickland, who was fastest in practice, starting in 6th place. Those cars look a little bit different than normal because they're celebrating their 20th anniversary in the NASCAR Cup Series. And 20th anniversary being the platinum anniversary, they've made their cars more of a platinum look, Trey. So it looks kind of cool. They have 2 cars starting at the front. You have Burnett, Chen, and Thompson a little bit further back, but how storybook would it be if Hendrick Motorsports go to victory lane here tonight?
Yeah, it would be absolutely something for them. It looks like they've got some strong cars here at the front of the field, so we'll have to see if they can put all of the pieces of the puzzle together and get their cars into victory lane.
Well, we'll go down to the track facts and look at that. It's a beautiful night for racing here. Beautiful September night, 70 degrees, clear skies, a little bit of wind here tonight. This is a 1.5 mile racetrack, 2.41 kilometers, 67-lap race, so once again shorter than what we saw here earlier in the season by 13 laps. It's 100.5 miles. The field window will be something to watch out for. 34 to 38 laps. They go just past the midway point. As mentioned, lots of tire fall off. The question will be, do you come in as soon as possible to get the tires and split it basically in half, or do you extend a little bit longer? We saw earlier this season, Tyler Belladonna made that final run a little bit shorter by going long on his second run, ended up paying off with him in victory lane, having the tires later in the race to use to his benefit. So we'll have to see what the strategy is for that. 24 degrees of banking in the corners, 5 degrees on the straights, and as mentioned, lots of tire fall off. We'll see over 3 seconds of fall off over the course of a 34-35 lap run here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Let's get to the 8 drivers that did not qualify for the race. Henry Guo, for the second straight week, was going to be in the show but missed because of inspection. That put Max Davis in for the second straight week. week. They have David Dixon, he missed, along with Nathan Orman, Nathan Stapleton, Colin Teague, Joe Staubs, Tegan Fox, and Angel Gutierrez. Those are the 8 drivers going home. We mentioned inspection. 2 drivers that are in the race today are starting at the back of the last row because they failed an inspection. Hernandez was going to start poorly anyway. He's back in 42nd, but Chris Jericho is set to start 6th. He's back in 41st. We'll see if he can move his way through the field here tonight in the UAW-GM Quality 500. It's about time to go down the trackside, fire the cars up for the 28th race of the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series season.
Drivers, start your engines.
The command has been given. Their roll off. The 42 cars to do battle here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. The audience pick to win tonight, starting way back around 36th place. Keegan Thompson has had some success here in the past, winning this race last season. He'll have to come from deep in the field, though. He's just around my pick to win. Jordan Stout won the 2002 World 600, 5 top 10s and 9 starts here at Lowe's. Those 2 drivers have to come from the back of the field, but they've been good here in the past, and I think they have a shot to get it done. So Trey, with our picks out of the way, my pick and the audience pick, who's your pick to win here tonight at Lowe's?
Other side of the field here, Joe. We got to go just inside that top 10, but on the outside line, the 16, Zachary DeLello. Now, if he can get himself to the inside here, I think he's going to have a strong car, but if he can't, he's going to want to make sure he saves tires here and, gets his way towards the front near the end of this thing. Even though he's had a little bit of a quiet season, I think it's his night.
Yeah, DeLello had great stretch of races to end last season, great stretch of races to begin the season. As you mentioned, fell off, has been a little bit quiet. Last 2 Lowe's races have been 30th place finishes. We'll see if he can change that here tonight with a W in the UAW-GM Quality 500. But at the front, Drew Webb with 2nd in points, Luke Rennie flanking him to his right. Mathis Wells in 14th, Tim Gary in 18th. We'll see if they can find the way to the inside in a quick manner. There's the green flag. We're underway in the UAW-GM Quality 500. Up the back straightaway, 2 by 2 all the way back into turns 3 and 4. Webb gets the advantage on the bottom of 3 and 4, comes off the corner with the lead. Crown Jr. and Luke Rennie are side by side. It's 2 wide all the way back. No one really looking 3 wide quite yet as Webb clears out in front. Here come the Petty Enterprises cars to the inside of Luke Rennie. It's Crown Jr. leading his teammate Hunter Reed to the bottom lane as Rennie tries to fight on the outside to get clear, but can't do it off turn 2.
Yeah, this is almost like super speeder racing here, Joe, where it's just 2 by 2 by 2 the entire way through the field right now, and that's what makes it difficult to really get to this inside line, just because the inside is so dominant and such the place you want to be that no one wants to give an inch to allow anyone else on the inside here. But you saw, I believe it was Mitchell Collins and who was at the 9 behind him. They both went up to the top side there, exiting turn 4. So that's a very unique move.
Tim Gary got down back here, so he is in line right now on the inside, trying to block off Jerry Chen to keep it to the bottom, while Mathis Wells 3rd in points, who lost a lot of his points gained over the last few races at Talladega with a crash. Gary finished inside the top 10, inside the top 5. Now Gary's making the move as Luke Rennie's gotten down low. He's trying to get back by Hunter Reed now, so Luke, 2nd in points, is in line inside the top 5. Tim Gary's really wanting him to fall back even more, but doesn't. Now Tim has to try and use that inside to his advantage and get up here closer to Luke Rennie, who's now up in the 3rd position, getting back by Hunter Reed, bringing Kukulon to the inside. Here comes Jay Rando. Kind of a disappointing season after starting out so dominant. Here he is moving up inside the top 5 and trying to, kind of catapult to the end of the season with a good run.
Yeah, at this point, you got the group of guys who are going for the championship, which is a very, very small group. What is that, 3 or 4 drivers at the moment? And then you got the other guys who are either fighting for that really close battle that's like from 4th to 30th or whatever the number is, right? and if you're in that part of the group right now, you're looking at the point standing. You want to finish as high as you can, but also, it's the end of the season. You're just going to start swinging for the fences and doing whatever you can to get these wins, right? Because what else do you have to lose at this point? So I wouldn't be surprised, with these last couple of races, we see some, guys that we don't normally see towards the front making some, if it's either, big strategy calls or they're just really pushing their car to the max here to see what they can get out of it, while the other guys are kind of, playing the safe game.
And Luke wants bonus points here tonight, trying to get a lap lead for 5 of them as he moves inside of Drew Webb off turn 4. He has the advantage into the quad oval. He'll lead lap number 6, 5 points back there. Tim Gary's 3 wide, getting some spots like Hunter Reed and Sarah Kirchner to 1. It gets a little closer. It's a very narrow racetrack. Gary with Eli right behind. They have to be careful off turn 2. Gary definitely wants to get clear of it and does. He'll try and scoot away from the mess he almost created behind him as Eli Bright emerges clear as well. So Gary making a big aggressive move. It worked for him at that point. He's still moving forward while Mathis Wells third in points continues to slip back, leaving the championship battle right now between Tim Gary and Luke Rainey, but still lots of time left here at Lowe's.
Yeah, Tim Gary cannot panic. You know, he cannot use up his stuff here. You see Eli Bright going to the inside, but if Tim Gary is pushing his car to the front, trying to get there so he can, you know, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Nullify any damage Luke Rainey's doing right now. He's going to hurt himself near the end of this thing right now. You can see he got passed again, but right as we still got a battle for the lead right here, this 29 wants to get a lap under his name.
Sebastian Kukulon to the inside of the quad oval. He'll lead lap number 8 here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway by a few 1,000ths of a second. He brings Jay Brando and Laura Chung into the battle. Great run for Chung so far here tonight. She's been picking it up as of late. Has had a very solid stretch of races in that number 19. Looking to continue it here tonight. She's up in 4th, going for 3rd. Up the back straightaway, bring Mitchell Collins to the inside. Matthew Burnett started poorly in this race. That number 25 is up inside the top 10 now. Ahmed Wallet is running well in that number 9-1 car. Then you have Evans. Oskin ran very strong here earlier this season. He's up inside the top 10 with Crown Jr. hanging on to the top 10 as well as Tim Gary is currently back on the inside, got back by Eli Bright, trying to get some spots. This would be for 12th on Webb, 11th Sarah Kirchner just in front of him. So Tim Gary coming back up after falling back on the outside, got that spot immediately back from Eli Bright, and is now just outside the top 10 on lap number 10.
So right now, I mean, majority of the field's single file, but Tim Gary does see one thing that's not single file, and that's Luke Rainey slowly falling back to him because it looks like he's stuck on the outside at the moment. But when the question is that how far into this race do these drivers finally decide to, like, all right, guys, let's all settle down, just kind of ride in line and get to the first set of, or get to the pit stops?
Well, back in May, I don't think they ever settled down. I think they just kept passing and passing and passing as much as they could. So here comes Chung for a second on Jay Brando. A whole line of cars behind Brando on the inside, looking to get by him. If he can't get a good corner through here as Luke Rennie continues to fall back. And here comes Tim Gary trying to get by Sarah Kirchner for a spot. And Luke Rennie is not liking what he's seeing right now. He had a good advantage early on in this race, but Gary's starting to move forward in that number 10 car down to the inside of Sarah Kirchner. Gets that spot. His teammate and team owner Evan Hunter behind him. And here he comes looking low on Luke Rennie up the back straightaway. Luke can't block it. And now they're side by side. The front and the championship have changed positions with now Gary in front of Luke on lap number 12. It didn't take long, Trey, but now they're side by side and they're battling each other for that championship points lead.
How aggressive do they battle each other is the real question.
Well, Tim can't be too aggressive because he has that gap over Luke. I think Luke can be a little bit more aggressive because he has 96 points to make up. So, yeah, I think Luke will be a little bit more aggressive if he gets back behind Tim, maybe trying to get back by him. But for Tim, he's just looking to get by and pull away. As you can see Luke right there, he'll get in line, though. So he'll now try and keep touching, keep pace with that number 10, the number 36, or carving away up inside the top 10.
I think the 36 maybe, you know, I wouldn't be surprised maybe see that 36 block a little bit here. I'll almost be like, stay away from my driver, but if Luke Guarini forces his way through like he just did and peeking those a little bit late into the corner entry, it's not going to be that hard to get past him.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. So now Luke and Tim are right next to each other as they both get by Roberto Crown Jr. up the back straightaway. So both are up inside the top 10. A little bit further back, kind of interesting to see these two schemes next to each other. The St. Louis Cardinals on the number 8 of Eli Bright, the Arizona Diamondbacks on the number 18 of Chris Jericho. MLB bringing those two together with paint schemes as kind of showing off the series that they have going on this weekend. Unfortunately for Chris Jericho, the Diamondbacks are down very badly in that series. Yesterday, the Cardinals beat the Diamondbacks 4-3. Earlier today, Diamondbacks lost 7-0. So Jericho's hoping it doesn't go like that for his race here today.
Yeah, at the moment, though, that the Cardinals cars beating the Diamondbacks one here in this situation, too. But we'll have to see if that can all settle itself back out. Right now, though, Luke Rainey got past Tim Gary, and he's working his way back towards the front. I mean, that just goes to show you again how much that outside line can really hurt your race if you get stuck up there right now. But Luke Rainey's got a strong car underneath him so far.
Yes, he does. He's carved away from Gary a little bit, but Tim is trying to get those spots as well. He's getting by Oskin through turns 3 and 4. So that'll be for 9th place right there. He gets by. Luke Rennie is up right now. He's going for what is that, 6th place right here on Jay Brando. So very, very fast race car in that number 88 right now, showing it as he's down to the inside. The other of the championship contenders is starting to slowly move his way back into the fight. Matheus Wells dropped way back outside the top 20, maybe even near 30th place, because he was on the outside in the initial start. He's now back up to 18th. So Trey, he's starting to come back alive as well in that number 20 car, moving his way up position after position. It's not flashy, but it's good enough to keep himself in that fight. He's not too far behind the race leader, and definitely not too far behind Tim Gary and Luke Rainey right now.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you got a steady progress forward at a track like this with the way it's racing now, I mean, you'll be right where you want to be near the important times of the race, and that 20 is definitely doing that. But our leader, Joe, he's got a little bit of company, but I don't know if he's going to be able to really make a move, or if he wants to make a move, that is, because I feel like that gap's kind of been staying pretty consistent for the last couple of laps.
Kukulon had really built up a pretty big gap, but over the last few laps, Collins had brought it down, and now, as you mentioned, kind of stabilized about a car length or so back from Sebastian Kukulon. So we'll see if Collins can make that move. And maybe he's nervous because Kukulon's teammate Conrad Evans is just behind him as well. So, I mean, he could get kind of swallowed up by RCR here if he's not too careful. But nice run off turn 2, pulls up to the back bumper of Kukulon. He's close. There he goes. Looking low into turns 3 and 4. Mitchell Collins for the lead on lap number 19. Gets a little tight down low. The tires are really starting to wear, so it gets harder to make that pass work on the bottom, but he still gets it. 3 cars under a blanket for the race lead, and Mitchell Collins takes it away as he's bringing Evans to the inside for a second. Burnett got by Laura Chung. Luke Rennie got by Laura Chung. So Burnett's now 4th. Luke is 5th. Here comes Walled for 6th, and Tim Gary hanging on in 9th place. Not letting Luke get too far up the road, as Gary is right there behind Rando, Chung, and Wallen, looking to the outside of Rando down into turns 3 and 4. But I think he'll just surrender that and try and get back and land in front of Kirchner. But he goes a little bit wider, I think, than he was hoping to.
Yeah, that definitely was not the line he wanted to go. We'll have to see if Kirchner can get any sort of run going in the 1 and 2. I mean, Joe, if you think about it at the moment, the only thing Luke Rennie can hold over Tim Gary's head is, one, he's got a couple positions on him, but he's also got that lap lead. Other than that, as long as Tim Gary can kind of keep Luke in his sights and stay right behind him for majority of this race, I don't think Tim's going to have all too much to worry about losing points-wise at the end of this thing. But we still got quite a bit of race to go. We're not even halfway through yet, so there could be stuff that develops here throughout. Oh, my goodness, I thought that 91 was about to hit the wall.
The big issue for Tim this season has been that this is the season NASCAR brought a new points format where you get more points for winning the race, so you get more points over second place. Tim hasn't won yet this season. While Luke has 3 wins, Matheus has 2 wins. So for Tim, that's an issue if Luke Rainey comes up here and wins the race for the 2nd straight week. Yeah, sure, you're only a few positions behind, but that gets multiplied because the winner gets more points than they've ever gotten in the history of the Nextel Cup Series.
Right, yeah, I mean, true, but I mean, that also, speaks to Tim Gary's, season so far. Well, I've been saying it all season wrong, right? I mean, consistency is key, and the fact that you're leading the championship at the end of the season by not winning a single race, I mean, that just goes to show you how strong this 10 car is, and all he's got to do is just continue and hope Luke doesn't get another win. But like you mentioned before, is that with the way Luke's car is this season, it's hard not to get a win in that 88, but someone who is not looking at a win tonight is going to be this 20 car.
There is a lot of big-name drivers back here at the back of the field. Tyler Belladonna won here earlier in the season in May. He's outside the top 35 in that 17. Jerry Chen is back here. Matheus Wells, 3rd in the points. Riley Spurleytube, Evan Hunter, Jordan Stout, Keegan Thompson, Keyshawn Richardson. I mean, the list goes on and on of big-name drivers struggling here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. And for Matheus Wells, this could knock him completely out of the championship fight if he can't turn around. His teammate Jericho from the back of the field is currently inside the top 20, but hasn't been able to move much past the top 17 or so. 2 teammates go at it for the lead. Evans has gotten by Mitchell Collins, and now he'll try and pull with teammate Kukulon in 2nd place. Burnett for 3rd. Here comes Kukulon immediately to the inside of his teammate Evans, not wanting to get that 31 out in the lead too far.
There is for it being this racetrack, this is a pretty decent sized group going for the leader right now. You got about 5 cars in it, and only 2 of them are teammates right now, and they're the ones battling for the lead at the moment. But guy that we have not mentioned very often, this 25 car is making his name known. I didn't even see him at the beginning of the race. He must have qualified mid-pack, if not near the back of the pack.
Yeah, he was outside the top 20 to start, but he has definitely raced very well here tonight. He's up now to 2nd place, bringing Luke Rennie to 3rd. They have Collins back in 5th, Chung in 6th, Brando 7th, Tim Gary 8th, great run for Zachary Fitzwater Sr. up in 9th place in that number 32, trying to get some good points there and just get some momentum going his way. I mean, I feel like every time we come to Lowe's trade, there's one surprise driver that comes from, you know, a mid-pack or a lower-tier team that runs up inside the top 10. You know, earlier this season it was Tibet Oskin. We saw a few seasons ago Jacob Miller for CLR Racing. Here tonight it's been Zachary Fitzwater Sr. for PPI Racing.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that one veteran at no matter what equipment he's in, right? He's always going to, you know, have a really good run for himself in this race team. It looks like tonight's going to be the 32's night with, you know, that scenario right there. But we got a small little group of guys right here. Another tandem of RCR guys with a tandem of Hendrick guys, and you got another driver who. You know, isn't really near the front as often, but right now they're making a name for themselves.
Ahmed Walland in that 91 from Melling Ultra Motorsports running well here tonight, up inside the top 15, pretty much has been all night long in a battle with the pole sitter Drew Webb for 14th and 15th. Eli Bright continuing his stretch of good races and trying to get himself back up closer to the front end points. He, you know, has been very good at Lowe's in the past 3 top 5s in the last 5 races, looking to continue that. Currently running inside the top 10 and 10th and trying to gain. As for the lead, Kukulon has it. Burnett is close right up to the back bumper. But Trey, something these drivers and crews have to be thinking about, pit stops are coming up. This race has been so good that it's flown by. We're nearly halfway through the UAW-GM Quality 500. Within about 5 to 7 laps, we're going to start seeing pit stops, and it might be a rush onto pit road. We'll have to see, does anyone dare do an overcut to try and get the tires later in the race? It might cost you early on, but could it possibly benefit you for the final 5 laps of the race? So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if anyone decides to do it, where they're placed at in the field, because, I mean, if you're looking at this front, group of 10-ish cars, maybe about 8 cars, they're all single file, but they're all relatively close to each other, with the front 2 slowly starting to break away here. So I don't know if they'll all plan to pit together. You know, if you're anywhere from Mitchell Collins back, you can kind of make a split decision, you know, based off of what these front 3 are doing right now. But it'll be interesting to see how this all, you know, develops and what these teams are thinking about doing.
Well, here's the interesting thing, Trey. If you're Zachary Fitzwater Sr. in 9th place, with how much the times have fallen off, if he comes in 1 lap before everyone in front of him, if he comes in immediately and the top 8 stay out, he will jump them just by lap time alone. The times have fallen off over 3 seconds. He's 2 3/4 seconds back. If this 32 comes down early, he can get the benefit. He could be the race leader. But the problem is, everyone's going to be on that, thinking of that. They're not going to want that to happen. So we'll have to see how this all plays out over the next 3 to 5 laps. We're getting close to pit stops. Front 6 are still really close together within basically a second of each other. That's going to make the strategy call very nerve-wracking for these teams, these crew chiefs, as they have to decide when to bring their driver onto pit road. Hope it's not too soon. Hope it's not too late.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do here. As you can see, Evans is going to make... Oh, actually, he tried to make a move on the 25, but he kind of got shut off there. It looks like he had a run, but for some reason, as soon as he made the move to the inside, it kind of just all dissipated, and he gave the run to the 25, who's going to have a chance at your leader right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Evans just knows his tires are gone, and he's like, I can't do it, right? If I go into the corner like I wanted to, I just wasn't going to be able to hold the bottom. I was going to probably wash up into that 25, so maybe just playing safe right now as we're basically at halfway now. 33 laps complete, 34 laps to go. The pit window is open, and it's going to get shoved open by some drivers soon, I have to think, because these cars are crawling through the corners and basically crawling down the end of the straights. This is going to be fascinating to watch how it plays out when everyone comes down pit lane, as Burnett's looking for a pass here on Kukulon into turns 3 and 4, or is he deciding that he wants to pit early? We'll have to see. Through 3 and 4, does he stay out? Does he make the move onto pit road? He wants to get to the lead off turn 4.
Yeah, that's a unique scenario there. Maybe he wants to be in the lead by the time he does come to pit road, so he can kind of, you know, control this front group of cars right now, because everyone tends to base it off the leader, but it's going to jumble up the front 4 a little bit. As you saw there, it looked like, I didn't know if they were going to go 3 wide for second place or not.
2 cars on pit road from the back. Big Shane and Marcus Lerber trying to get, you know, it's not going to be a winning strategy because of how far back they were, but it's going to get them a lot of positions over these first few laps. Let's see now. The leader saw some guys at the back come in. Do they come in this time? No one at the front. Jay Rando's going to undercut. He was 1 1/3 seconds back. Big for Jay Rando here. Can get him to the race lead by just this one lap. Ahmed Walid, Zachary DeLello, Hunter Reed, Richardson, Mathis Wells is coming in, trying to use the undercut to his advantage. So is Nathan Barrett. I love the call of the 20 car. Very aggressive, but he needs to do it. He was back outside the top 25. He was 28th place when pit stop started.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the only call they could have done. One, it's an empty pit road, so you don't got to worry about traffic being on there whenever the majority of the field comes down. But also, like you mentioned, it's aggressive. It's going to get them positions here, so we'll have to see if it works out for them as the 29, 12, 19, 32, and 3 all come into pit road together.
Trey, this is going to be a fun last run of the race because this is coming in waves. This is not just everyone coming in at once. We have about 5 different pit strategies going on here. Some are coming in really early. Some are coming in kind of right now towards the middle. But you have the leaders who have still stayed out, Evans and Burnett. They're actually going side by side. Can they both pit like this? Oh, he just forced his way down.
Try. Yep, they're going to make it work.
So Burnett, Evans are finally coming in. Luke Rainey and Tim
They
Garrett.
got to be careful here with cars coming off pit road too.
Eli Bright stayed out even longer. He's still out there. He's going for a big overcut strategy in that number 8 car. So he stays out. He leads a lap. The front two in the championship are in together. But as you mentioned, Trey, this is a very unique scenario to be in. You have cars leaving pit road. You have to come in yourself. And that was close, but John Barrymore let Tim Gary go.
They're 3 wide off pit road, 4 wide. Oh my goodness, almost making contact. We're good.
So now the jumbled up running order. We'll have to see how it plays out. How's Tim Gary's pit stop? You can see Burnett and Evans are leaving side by side, basically how they entered. Gary with a very solid stop. He gets away. And Jay Randall's coming off turn 4 with fresher tires early. Luke Rennie jumps the jack. He's gone. Tim Gary might beat him off pit road, and he does.
I don't know why. It looks like they hesitated a second. Once they dropped the jack on the 88, that might have been too little, too long. It's going to allow Tim Gary to get a decent, a decent lead over Luke. But we'll have to see if Luke still got the speed underneath his car. But this 97, Joe, we saw him come in early, a lap earlier than anyone else of the front pack, and he is absolutely gone.
So Jay Randall came in early. He's out in front. Then Kukulon came in the lap after. He's in second, so he has 1 lap better tires than Jay Rando. And then behind, Fitzwater is going to cycle out to 3rd place in a battle right there with Matthew Burnett Evans. So Evans and Burnett have the freshest tires of this pack. 2 or 3 laps fresher than the leaders up in front. They have Laura Chung, Ahmed Wald, Zachary DeLello, Justin Atkins, Keyshawn Richardson came in really early. So did Pri McShane. Chris Jericho, Marcus Lerb came in early as well. Tim Gary's back here. Luke Rainey's back, actually getting passed by Mathis Wells. And Eli Brighton's overcut strategy is far back as well. So the timing and scoring is finally cycling through. And we'll get an update on where everyone is right now. But Randall leads this race by a second over Kukulon. Then Fitzwater's 3.5 back. Evans is just about 3.5 back. All the way down. Tim Gary's down in 16th place. Mathis Wells with his strategies up to 19th. Luke Rennie's outside the top 20, actually trying to get back inside the top 20. Eli Bright's 22nd, but over 11 seconds back.
Yeah, he came off. I don't know if he waited that long or what happened with them, but he came off pit road really late compared to everyone else.
It was just how long he stayed out, Trey. He was so, he was the only one that went as long as he did, and that was about 3 laps longer than the leaders. So that cost you about 9 seconds right there, just from that.
Yeah, so very. I don't think that was the right call for their situation, but it's what they did. So we'll have to see what if those tires can be that big of a benefit at the end of this race.
Kukulon is gaining on Jay Rando for the race lead. It was about a second. It's down to about half of that. It's now just 4.5 tenths of a second. Meanwhile, this pack is also cutting into the lead. Fitzwater is leading Evans, Chung, Wallet, DeLello, Burnett, Atkins, and Richardson. The top 10 could be close to the race leaders as here comes the pass for 3rd. Evans is saying, I'm faster, I have better tires than you. I want to go through now. They're within 3 seconds of the lead as Kukulon cuts it down even more. Now the gap to the lead from these guys stabilized because of the pass, but if they could get single file and kind of get spread out here, they can easily close, and especially if these two start battling because Kukulon is closing in on Jay Rando.
Yeah, we're going to have to see it. That's a big gap between 2nd and 3rd place, but like you said, if they can get single file, they can kind of work together almost like a super speedway and kind of catch up to these guys, but we'll have to see if they can make a truce for the time being or if they decide to battle it out and whatever happens, happens. But I think if these leaders are smart, they just kind of stay single file like they are right now and just kind of gain if they can on everyone else, and then they come to battle it out near the end of this thing.
I think Kukulon thinks he's faster, and I think he wants to make this pass and then maybe start to pull away. Because that 29 caught him by so fast, Trey, he has to think that if I can get by, I can just pull away, and maybe just instead of me having to pass the 97 later, I can just pull away and make it a race of my own and not have to worry about anyone else. We'll have to see if he can make it work. The leaders are still gaining 0.2 of a second a lap, Trey. If you do the math, they're going to catch anyway, so Kukulon might have to try and make this pass.
Yeah, it's the guys behind them are definitely faster at the moment, so I think you're correct about that. Kukulon's got to get this pass done and over with and try to gain anything so he doesn't get swallowed up by these guys coming behind him right now, but just for some reason cannot seem like he can get past him at the moment, or he's just waiting his time.
See, it was 2.6 back to Evans, 2.4. So once again, 0.2 of a second, and we still have over 20 laps to go. So they will be there if things stay like it is. Remember, the 31 and the 25 also have better tires than these front two as well. Kukulon again right on the bumper of Rando, but can't make the pass. He stays right on his bumper through turns 3 and 4 again. Further back in the field, Tim Gary is up to 12th place, but 6 seconds back. Luke Rainey has fallen. He was up inside the top 20. He's back down to 21st now. Eli Bright is the man on a charge, up to 20th place. He's gained 2 seconds on the leader over the last 5 or so laps and continuing to try and gain down to 8.9 seconds back. So while he's not close enough to make a move for the lead, he can still gain a lot of points here because that car very fast on the freshest tires of anyone around him. So lots of stuff playing out, as third on back are still closing in on the front two, who are still single file. Rando over Kukulon. The 29 can't make the move quite yet, but Evans is closing in. So is Laura Chung. So is Matthew Burnett and Zachary DeLello and all the rest of the field. Kukulon really has to try and find a way to make this pass work now.
Yeah, I don't know if he had the faster car, but it seemed like once you got within 1/10 of the guy behind you, it kind of just settled out, and now it's they're pretty much even at this point. But like you mentioned, all these guys are hungry and they're coming quick. So if Kukulon doesn't make the move soon here, he's gonna lose more positions and gain.
Yep, still on that back bumper. 2 seconds back now for Conrad Evans. And just under 20 laps to go. They are flying. So is Matthew Burnett. He's moving by Laura Chung right there to 4th place. Remember, the 31 and the 25 have fresher tires than anyone around them. It's 2 laps fresher than the 97, 1 lap fresher than the 29, and about 1, 2, 3 laps fresher than anyone back in that pack. So Kukulon staying behind Rando. Remember, he has fresher tires than that 97 car. As the gap back to third, Conrad Evans. It was 2 seconds last lap. This lap, only a little bit of a gain, but still a gain for Evans, maybe because he didn't really have anyone right behind him. Tim Gary still in 12th place, hanging on nicely, but Eli Bright is starting to part the seas for Luke Rainey. If Luke stays close enough, that number 8 will lead him up further forward. Remember, Luke has some fresher tires on that car as well. He's in 19th, but 7 spots behind Tim Gary as they run. Eli Bright's just up to 17th, past teammate Anthony Hernandez. He has Mitchell Collins in front, Hunter Reed in front, and then maybe some others as well. As Gary's now on the back bumper of Chris Jericho, looking for the 11th position as Evans gains another 0.2, and for the lead, Kukulon's finally getting by Jay Rando, going to try and leave him behind.
Yeah, I think he noticed how quickly those guys behind him were catching. He decided to play it a little bit more aggressive, maybe use up a little bit more of his tires than he wanted to and get that pass done. But it's what you got to do. Now this 29 could most likely, if he can continue to speed his pull away. I mean, look at the gap he already has.
But Matthew Burnett has passed Conrad Evans, and look at the gap they gained. They gained half a second because those two battled through turns 1 and 2. So Matthew Burnett saying, I'm faster, move by. He got by Conrad Evans. He's closed up to now within a second and a third on the front two. And Rando is not letting Kukulon get too far away. The 29 did pull away a little bit, but Rando's trying to stay close enough. But Kukulon has to watch out because it's 25 to the 31. They have better tires than him. Even though he has the better tires than the 97, it doesn't really matter because right now, 25 and 31 are within a second of the race lead.
This is going to get very interesting here, Joe. You're going to have 2 teammates at 31 and 29, but then other than that, you got 2 non-teammates working against the RCR boys. So we're going to have to see how that develops here as Tim Gary is looking for yet another position on this 19. He's going to send it into the corner, but he can't quite get there.
That's for 10th place right there for Tim Gary. He's been flying on this run. He's within 4 seconds of the race lead. There he goes to the inside, while Matthew Burnett's chopped the lead down to half a second. There goes Gary for the spot in Laura Chung. That would be for 10th place. Jericho's right there as well. Sarah Kurtzer's gaining. What a great night for Richard Childress Racing. I know Cam Wright very proud looking on. You have Kukulon leading the race, Evans in 4th, Atkins in 6th, and Sarah Kircher's back just outside the top 10 and 13th, and could possibly get a top 10 with how much shuffling is going on. Here's the battle for the lead. Burnett on fresher tires all over Jay Rando. Is Evans back there in 4th on the same tires as Burnett saving, or did he use them up and he's now trying to cool them back down?
Yeah, that is a good question right there. It'll be interesting to see if this 31 can make a late charge. Looks like he gained quite a bit through that corner there too, so he could have been just saving his tires and waiting for an opportunity to pass, which was this 97 getting into the high lane here, which is the smart move on his part. Now he's going to be able to clear the 97 and look at the front two.
And here's Burnett on better tires, gaining on Kukulon. Off 4, look at the run he has through the quad oval. Kukulon trying to block it, but can't. Burnett to the inside into turn 1, side by side for the lead. And the 25 car on the better tires trying to take it away from Kukulon through turns 1 and 2. He has the bottom, he has the position, he has the spot. Burnett is through to the lead, and Evans trying to get by his teammate Kukulon to keep touch with the 25 car.
He's going to be able to pass his teammate here. He should get it cleared by the time they exit forward, which he does. He should get a good, corner exit right here. Now he has his sights set on that 25. Is there enough time for him to catch? Because like you mentioned, they're on pretty much the same set of tires, but did he use up his stuff?
Half a second between Burnett and Evans. We'll see how it changes. And if Kukulon, Rando can try and keep touch, maybe they can save some tires back there and just hang in it and hope that those front two battle. DeLello and Atkins have been closing in a little bit. How about Keyshawn Richardson? We mentioned his name as one of the drivers that was struggling here tonight. Well, here he is, up inside the top 10 with Fitzwater still up inside the top 10. Gary has moved further up. He's gotten up to 9th place with Jericho in tow in 10th. And you have Sarah Kirschner in 11th. Lathan Strickland 12th, Eli Bright is back in 15th, Luke Rennie is a distant 16th, and Mathis Wells is outside the top 20, down to 24th, as Luke's actually dropped positions. He's in a big battle back there with the pack. He can't get away from them, and he keeps losing spots, while Tim Gary's looking to gain spots. Moving low on Zachary Fitzwater Sr. for 8th place. Could be a big night for Tim Gary in terms of gaining for the points lead.
Yeah, I don't know what changes they made on that pit stop, but it was definitely the right ones here and the wrong ones for Luke, because they are separating the gap from each other in big ways right here, as Tim Gary can get yet another position and possibly one more before the end of this thing. It would depend to see how quickly he can close his gap.
Oh, well, he's right on the bumper and looking to the inside already on Keyshawn Richardson. What a run for Tim Gary on this stretch of the run. Remember, he and Luke Rennie came in at the same time. Gary's crew did better on pit road, got him out in front of Luke, but Luke has not been able to use the tires like Tim has. Tim has used his better tires better than Luke has. Luke's still down in 20th place. He continues to, keep trading positions back and forth, while Tim has done nothing but move forward here in this run. He was in 3 seconds of the lead now. 7th place. Could he possibly gain on the 16 and the 3? I don't know, because they're kind of using the draft off the leaders. Meanwhile, Evans is keeping touch with Burnett, not letting the 25 get away. He's closed into within about a quarter of a second. Trade was half a second, a few laps to go. So with 7 laps to go, can Conrad Evans get his first win of 2004, his first win since the spring of 2003? We're going to find out. 7 laps to go at Lowe's.
Hunger is a real question.
That's a great point. Evans hasn't won since 2003. Burnett wants to win for Hendrick's 20th anniversary here tonight, and he hasn't won since the spring of this year as well. So Burnett has won more recently, but there's a lot riding for him here tonight, and Evans hasn't won yet this season. This could be a big night for Richard Childress Racing. They have 2 cars inside the top 5, 2 more inside the top 10. But to win the race, they have to get by Matthew Burnett and his Hendrick Chevrolet, who's opened up the gap with 6 laps to go. It's a third of a second. Evans is keeping close enough in case something happens to that 25, but at the moment, is his car fast enough to make the pass without a mistake?
I don't know. I mean, don't question out this 29 either, because he's kept the gap the same distance the last 2 laps here. If he can get up to the back of that 31, kind of give him a little bit of a push, it could help propel that 31 past 25, but we'll have to see what happens here, because I don't think anyone gained really any time there at all.
Mathis Wells' strategy is starting to fall apart. And that number 20 down to 28th place. The older tires are not working well. Great battle for 4th place. Randall's tires are starting to fall off. Remember, he came in early. DeLello is 3rd to 4th. Atkins trying to make it 3 RCR cars inside the top 5. But if they fool around too much longer, Tim Gary's going to get the top 5 for himself. He's gained big time on the front few. He's come from so far back, Trey. I mean, if this race were a few laps longer, I'd say that's shot the win, but I think he's just going to run out of time for that. But still, impressive drive for Tim Gary in this final run of the race. He has 6th place, Jay Randall right in front of him. Then 5th place, Atkins up the road as well. So Tim could come away with a top 5 finish here tonight. as it stands. He looks to the inside of Randall to turn 1. The 97 kind of gets down. Meanwhile, at the front, 0.3 of a second. Evans is closing back in a little bit on Burnett.
This is going to be very interesting here. I think we can now count out that 29. It's going to be the 25 versus the 31 only here, but it just does not seem like that 31 can really get any sort of run off corner exit to go and catch that 25. We'll have to see if they gain any time this time. No, he actually lost. So the question is, Joe, is there going to be enough time to make up 0.3 of a second to go and get past that 25?
Tim Gary, he's making up points on Luke Rennie as they run up to 6th place, getting by Jay Rando. 5th and 4th, Atkins and DeLello are just in front. Here comes Sarah Kircher trying to get RCR even further forward. That would be for a 7th place spot on Jay Rando. 2 laps to go at the line. Eli Bright trying to get whatever he can with those fresher tires. He's on the back bumper at 12th place. Keyshawn Richardson, that could be as far as he goes. 2 laps to go. Burnett's opened up the gap to half a second. There goes Eli Bright making that pass on Richardson. So he'll move to 12th place right there. Maybe he could get Fitzwater in this final lap and a half, I don't know. Kircher moves by Rando. Here's Garrett in the bumper for 5th place on Atkins. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Burnett pulling away from Evans. White flag this time by the UAW-GM Quality 500. Matthew Burnett is in control of the race.
Yeah, I think he's just got to hit his marks here on this last lap, and it is his race to lose right now. He's got a pretty good little gap. I don't think that car's going to be slowing down anytime soon. No lap traffic in front of him, Joe. I don't see what goes wrong here.
Through turns 1 and 2 for the final time, Burnett in control. Tim Gary getting by Atkins, that's 5th place, and another 5 points for the number 10 driver. Up the back straightaway for the final time for Matthew Burnett. He has a half a second lead over Conrad Evans. He gets through turns 3 and 4 well, and off the corner for the final time. Matthew Burnett comes from mid-pack, but ends up in victory lane. Hendrick's 20th anniversary goes to Matthew Burnett in the UAW-GM Quality 500. Gary gets 5th. Whole bunch of cars scrambling to the checkered flag to try and get whatever spots they could inside the top 10. A very entertaining strategy race here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway ends with Matthew Burnett in his 2nd victory of the 2004 season. Won earlier this season, now gets it done at Lowe's. Late in the season, the 25 is back on top.
He's at the end of that thing, he was the one to have the hard car to pass right there. And once he got out to that lead, he pretty much kept it at a solid 0.3 of a second between him and the 31 there. So very nicely done. But don't take anything away from RCR because they have all 4 cars inside the top 10.
Yeah, they almost had 3 cars inside the top 5, and they had all 4 cars that were generally fast enough to be inside the top 5 as well. So RCR brought some pace here tonight. Even though they didn't win the race, Hendrick won the race. RCR definitely the most impressive team as a whole here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. So we'll go take a look now at the finishing results from the OW-GM Quality 500. As mentioned, Matthew Burnett is the one on top. He gets the victory by about half a second over Conrad Evans, who has to sell for 2nd place. They were on the same strategy. That ended up being the winning strategy here tonight. Sebastian Kukulon ends up in 3rd, very solid race after leading a good amount of laps. DeLello ends up in 4th in the top 5 for the points leader Tim Gary, who had a 96-point gap entering the race that will definitely extend because Luke Rennie and Mathis Wells did not have anything close to a good night here tonight. Atkins ends up in 6th place with his teammate Kirchner right to his inside in 7th place. So the 4 RCR cars, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th. Very strong night here at Lowe's. Jay Rando fell back there with his older tires at the end. Ends up in 8th. Chris Jericho from the back of the field started in 41st place. He gets 9th here tonight, just beating Lathan Strickland at the line for a top 10. So here tonight, the Diamondbacks beat the Cardinals, and we'll see how the series goes. Obviously, the Cardinals have already won the series, but tomorrow is the final game, and the Cardinals are going to look for the series sweep tomorrow. Then you have Fitzwater in 11th. The Cardinals tried to mount a charge at the end of this race with Eli Bright on the fresher tires moving up to 12th at the end, and a few more laps, maybe he could have gotten a top 10. Keyshawn Richardson, very solid night. Used the pit stretch to his advantage. Ahmed Wallor Chung, solid top 15s. And you look down here at the rest of the top 20. Anthony Hernandez failed inspection, started back in 42nd. He gets 18th. Never talked about Keegan Thompson. He gets a top 20. But we've talked about Luke Rennie here tonight. He struggled. He was on the same tires as Tim Gary. While Tim mounted a charge up to the top 5 at the end, Luke stumbled and moved nowhere. 21st place. That is a big points loss for Luke here tonight and puts the championship right now totally in control of Tim Gary with now 4 races left. Mathis Wells, same story, but even worse. 28th place for the number 20. He played an aggressive strategy coming in early. It worked for a while, but the tires soon fell off. He gets 28th. Tyler Belladonna, who won here earlier in the season, gets 30th. A lot of big names down at the bottom of the list, and we look down outside the top 30. Jerry Chen, while his teammate up there won the race, he gets 36th. Roberto Crown Jr. started well, he gets 35th. And then we look down all the way at the bottom. Matt Tuck and Drew Webb had issues on pit road. They both finished a lap down. Tuck in 41st. Webb in 42nd from pole position. Not the night he was hoping for here tonight at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. And now with that, we take a look at the points. 4 races left, Trey. Right now, Tim Garrett in control of the championship. There's still races left for something to change that, but Tim has had a very solid stretch of races, and it's showing a top 5 at Talladega, now a top 5 here at Lowe's.
Yeah, he's got all the momentum going for him right now, so it's going to be hard to kind of kill that momentum if you're Luke Rainey, but there's got to be some way to do it, and it could be as close as next race, and we'll have to see what develops here. I don't think the championship is quite over quite yet, but it's just getting harder.
Well, something that Tim Gary's happy about is that he ran well here tonight at Lowe's, got a top 5 finish. 3 of the final 4 races are on 1.5 racetracks. We obviously have this one at Lowe's. Next week we go to Kansas for the Banquet 400, another 1.5 racetrack. Then we go to Homestead, a 1.5 racetrack, then Rockingham, which is a mile long, and then we end the season at Atlanta, a 1.5 racetrack. So for Tim Gary, running well here tonight could be a big confidence boost and a big story of what's to come for these final few races of the season. If he can run like he did here tonight, easily his championship to lose. We'll have to see how it all plays out, and it starts the run for the championship next week on JRTV Sunday at Kansas. It'll be fun to see how that plays out and who gets the victory there, and how the points look out between Tim Gary, Mathis Wells, and Luke Rainey over these final 4 races of the season. What a night, though, here in Lowe's. Matthew Burnett wins for Hendrick Motorsports, celebrating their 20th anniversary in the NASCAR Cup Series, and they do it in style with a victory here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. For Trey Bartle and Joe Rakowski, so long from Lowe's, but tune into JRTV next week for the Banquet 400 from the Kansas Speedway.